It is the breaking news from the early hours, and the number every time we go back to the Johannesburg CBD as a result of this fire at a 5-story building, a hijacked building I might add. That number keeps going up. Not too long ago it was 58. As you can see, bottom of your screen, the breaking news in just a few minutes ago. It is now 63. Let's take you back to Marshalltown in Johannesburg. Heidi Jokos trying to make sense of what is going on, finding officials as best you can as they run around trying to make sense of what is going on. Heidi, let's come back to you. What have you found out since last we spoke?
Yes, so at the moment we have been told that it is currently still 63, the death toll, but that might have increased since. I'm just waiting for emergency spokesperson Robert Molawitsi to conclude with other media engagements just to get a further update in terms of how many have tragically lost their lives because of what has transpired here. But it is really tragic. We do know that 43 people have been transported to various hospitals. We have been told by emergency services, though, that it is not serious injuries. We know that the MEC for Health in the province will be heading to Helen Joseph Hospital just after 9 o'clock to be visiting those patients that have been transported specifically to Helen Joseph. We do know so far it is just one minor that has sadly lost their lives in the fire, so one out of the 63 so far. But Mr. Molawitsi has obviously indicated that they are, of course, trying their best to figure out exactly how many miners were involved in this. We have been speaking to some residents, to some people, and you know, Gareth, the tragedy in all of this is that you have a situation where people were literally living in a hijacked building. So in an instance like that, you would have a large number of people living in a room, in a very small room, because what happens in a hijacked building, and having, you know, seen a hijacked building firsthand and having gone into these buildings, is that they would take, for example, one normal room where 2 people would ordinarily be sleeping in, and they would maybe divide that into 2 or 3, and there would be about over 5 people just in that small block. So that obviously becomes very problematic, and that's probably why we're seeing such a high number, because people were obviously trying to scramble and get out of this hijacked building. Sorry, officer.
Heidi, while you're just trying to sort everybody out so they don't walk into your shot, Heidi, let me just remind viewers as well, you mentioned some of the officials coming down. I've just seen this update now, obviously important for you and Bafadile. The MEC for Human Settlements and Infrastructure Development, it's Lebogang Maile, going to be heading your way, Heidi, 9:30 this morning. Is actually going to be at the building in Marshalltown. Heidi just jumping out of shot quickly to go fetch something, I'm sure. It's a difficult live broadcast to do for Heidi and Bafadile. We'll go back there now. So the MEC for Human Settlements and Infrastructure Development, 9:30. Heidi Jokos, I think, is going to be one of the big stories that we're going to be waiting for this morning. Heidi Jokos is going to be on the scene for us. Also Bafadile Morane. And exactly to what Heidi is talking about is this hijacked building and a informal settlement inside this hijacked building. It fits perfectly with the Department of Human Settlements and Infrastructure Development. How did it even get to this point? Because Heidi is quite right. A room meant for 2 people, an ordinary size room, being subdivided into 2 or 3 separate rooms, and then you have an issue where we're hearing from someone who was suggesting, a witness in the area this morning, saying it was somebody with a candle that could very well have set off this blaze. It is unconfirmed. That is not confirmed news at this point. That is just those who were on the ground speaking to both Bafadile and Heidi Jokos. At this point, the cause of the fire is still unknown. The fire department is still inside at the moment, but we'll go back to the EMS later. Let's go listening quickly to the MEC for Public Safety.
And bodies beyond the recognition. That site, I've never seen that site before. 64 of them have confirmed to be dead. Cause of fire, the guys are still going to be checking out into what's happening. With these probable causes is your candles. Others said by illegal, this connection of the building here. And then they said one of the things that really was an issue was that inside the building itself, looks as if there was a gate which was closed, so people could not get out. So we saw a lot, when the firefighters went inside, a lot of people who came from the floor, they actually got stashed onto the gate which was closed. I think it was a security gate, because internally, these buildings, if you remember, I was doing the operation Mgcini inside. When we came out with the EMS, we've declared them, most of them, that they are not safe. The EMS have actually closed them, many of them. But as you know, that we're the problem in terms of, you know, the human rights, in terms where do we actually going to put those people. So in terms of the transit accommodation, to put these people so that these buildings can be renovated and all of that is still an issue. But the main reason here that there's a high death toll of the people is a lot of partitions and the gates in between, where people are. They said people, they wanted to really scream and they should get out, but they could not. Many burnt bodies were found actually stashed on that gate. At this bottom here on the level floor, also there's people, they've actually had an informal settlement sort of. You had a lot of people that have built using like high flammable material, your wood and all of that. So that is an issue. So yes, on our side we've got the team which is coming in. The disaster is here, and so we're gonna give them the mattresses and all of that, and then also the housing. I see that it's here as well, meaning that we are going to get them the alternative accommodation at this point in time. Yes, so that is what is happening. It's a very traumatic. I've never seen bodies like that bent beyond some recognition. There were also kids that were there as well. I think there's a 12-month-old kid that actually got bent out. It's a very sad scene. I think after this, there is a team that was put up by the CM and the mayor just to deal with these things as well. So I'm just calling all the players, the SERI, let us come together and then let us deal with this thing decisively, so that we're able to take the people and put them somewhere. It cannot be maybe we have a transit accommodation, we don't have it somewhere. Let's build something. Let's get all this building which are like that. The other one which might actually catch fire is the one in the next day. About, I mean, how many councillors? The councillor here, there are about three or four of them that are close to here that they can actually catch fire as well. So there are many of them in the city. I think there's a list through the GFIT. There's a list of them that they are dark. There's no water. They've actually been declared unsafe. They need to be closed with immediate effect. And one of the things I proposed to SERI and all the other NGOs which are coming in, I said to them, let us do a floor by floor, if it needs be, to renovate and ensure that these buildings are compliant with the EMS. There's a list of them. You're looking at about thousands plus of these buildings here hijacked. Thank you.
I want to ask you about the issue around hijacked buildings, MMC. Is this not an indictment on the city of Johannesburg in terms of the fact that you have these hijacked buildings, you're fully aware of them? It's not the first time you're seeing a hijacked building. You have 64 people dead. Why has the issue of hijack, and I know this doesn't solely fall under your department, but surely this should be a serious issue that the city is addressing.
Yeah, no, Heidi, if you remember that Operation Mgcini, we had this building because we pushed it into the MACOM. And then I had to actually have to table it and say, guys, these buildings are actually, this is a hazard. That's why now there's a report with the mayor and the CM has put up in terms of the team which is going to be dealing with it in a decisive manner. The problem, Heidi, is that the people which are in these buildings hijacked, before you can even do anything, you need to put them in an alternative accommodation. So Joshko, we've been approaching them, but Joshko problem is that there's no alternative one. And they used to have what is called a transit accommodation as well. So this transit accommodation, when you put people there, they actually don't want to move to another areas, because some of the people what I've raised with the mayor is that the people who are hijacking these buildings are affording. And for example, in the Casamia, the people who are staying there is not the poorest of the poor tourists is the people who are earning somewhere between 6,000 and 40,000, and audit was actually done. So we said that one of the things that I propose in the department itself is to have a small office there and take these people one by one and ensure that where do you stay, where are you working, why are you in this building, then we can take them there. So it's a process that we want to actually do, because some of them, they go and go into this buildings and say, no, it's a problem that we must take them into an affordable place. Yeah? So there's been this back and forth in terms of the city, the human rights, and we have been litigated everywhere. So these are the issues that we're actually going to be looking at. So it is unfortunate. I've seen these bodies that are just here around here, 64 of them banned. It's very sad. It's terrible. For me, look, I'm just saying that it's very bad that it actually took this, so that maybe we can. It's very bad. I've never seen so many bodies in my life.
Isn't that always the case, MMC? Yeah. That tragedy needs to hit before something is actually done about a serious issue like hijacked buildings. I mean, this has been happening for I don't know how many years.
Mm-hmm. The city, when I actually came in, every time when you want to act, then there's a litigation every single time. Then everyone must actually stop. When we try to really come in, because some of these things I even said to them, look, if it needs to be that the guys can actually stay just for a month or two, we have these tents or something like a temporary structures we can put in to actually do that. But now you get to be litigated every single time. But if you remember, I had a sort of an interview with actually one of the guys from actually Seri, where we actually went to each other and said, they're saying that no, we can't take them to those areas and all of that, because we must give them electricity in this building which are like this unsafe. We must give them water. So there's this been an ongoing up and down between ourselves and actually these and the NGOs within the city. But I hope that, look, it is very unfortunate. I'm really sad into what that actually happened. But it looks as if after this we need to sit down and we take this proposal that I put in. I said, let's put in, even if it's some temporal shelter that we can actually do, or we can actually clean these places floor by floor, because other people, by the way, which are staying there can afford. And I say to the guys every single time, don't put any nationality on this, because with the general, when we did an audit in one of the buildings, Ramington, Casamea, Venin Court, the people who are coming there, if you want me to go down on that route, is the people who are coming from the Eastern Cape, who are coming from KZN. And the people, correctly so, they are paying to some Nigerians, some guys from
some of the people that we spoke to,
some of the people, and then others, they're actually paying to some people in KZN, like eNCA. So people are saying that let us deal with the issue. Buildings are hijacked. People, some of them can afford. So I said at the Remington, as a case study, I said, then I'm going to have a building there, so a room where we can be there, and we asked, why are you here? Why are you hijacking? Because you can afford. And even Joshua did an affordability analysis. And then after that, all the NGOs came running, were interdicted into court and all of that. MMC is radical, he wants to take people out. So, but and the guy said, let us, we agree that now going forward, let us do a maintenance, or let us do these renovations floor by floor.
Yes, it's a loss, a tragedy.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. I think we are going to leave it there, Gareth, because we actually also did get a chance to speak to the MNC. Bafadile, my colleague, did get a chance to speak to the MNC. Just bear with us, because we need to just move out of this. I seem to have lost Robert Mulaudzi tragically. I can't find him anywhere, and I would have liked to get an update from him. If I could ask you to just give me a second, Gareth, because I'd like to just check the group to see whether or not the death toll has since increased from the 64 that we were told. According to the MMC, the MMC for Public Safety, we were told that there are also a number of children that he seems to have seen that are part of the 64. So a real tragedy. It's something that you just can't believe is happening right in front of you. It seems as though the latest update still remains at 64. I'm going to try and locate Mr. Mulawuti just so that I can get an update. So I'm going to ask you to just bear with me, Gareth, and maybe I can give it back to you so that I can try and locate Mr. Mulawuti so we can get a thorough update on the death toll, injuries and everything else.